down to 2, as in 2 state championship games left and 2 teams left in Division I for the big one this afternoon. Moeller and Mentor going at it in Fawcett Stadium in Canton, Ohio. It's the big one, moving up from prime time to a 3 o'clock kick. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Hyundai Studios. I'm Dave Chudowsky, and we are pumped up for the big one today. Coach Bill Powers, Ryan Cavanaugh. Guys, it's real simple. I can just say it's the big one.
Yeah, and these are two teams that are used to playing in big games. You look at their roads to the championship, Mentor and Moeller both played the best teams in the state. You look at these coaches, they've all been in big games before. So this moment is definitely not too big for them, but this is the moment they've all been waiting for.
I'm looking forward to see how the defenses react. Both these teams come in, high-powered offense, a lot of big names on the offensive side of the ball. But as we've seen in the first 5 games, defense wins championships. One of these two teams is going to have the defense step up and take home the hardware.
Should be an exciting one, clearly. It's a battle of Cincinnati versus Cleveland. Last night, Cincinnati got the better end in D2, but how about Moeller coming from the Cincinnati area, 13-1, ranked 5th in the AP, Region 2 seed, only lost this year to St. Ed's. Moeller, the defending state champs. Mentor, 13-1, 6th in the AP, Region 1 2 seed. They have won 12 straight after losing to St. Ignatius. It goes down in Canton. Mike Cairns and Greg Fry have the call. Guys, take it away.
Thanks, guys. Getting ready for the kickoff at the top of the hour. This Division I state championship game between Moeller and Mentor. This should be a great football game. Take a look at the tail of the tape between these two teams. No question, they can both put big numbers up on you in a hurry, Greg Fry.
Mike, both offenses explosive. We talk so much about their offenses, but don't forget, both these defenses can play as well, and they're both very physical on defense.
And welcome up into the broadcast booth high atop of Fawcett Stadium. Yes, the windows are open, and we're getting ready for some football here at the top of the hour. Mike Cairns along with Greg Fry. Let's take a look at two of the key players. We talked about big numbers and the offense that both of these teams can put on you, and they're led by the co-offensive players of the year in Division I, beginning with Moeller, and both converted wide receivers. Gus Ragland gets it started for Moeller.
I love that story. Both these guys played receiver last year. Gus Ragland, all he's done is put his team on his back in the playoffs, mostly with his feet, running the football behind that big offensive line.
And there's certainly been no question that Mentor bus started rolling towards Canton when Connor Krasancic came back and he was healthy.
And he's doing a phenomenal job. He's in a great rhythm running that offense, distributing the football, using his feet, doing a great job throwing the football. And I think the biggest thing I can tell you is he's not turning it over, taking care of the football, and this offense is operating at high efficiency right now.
And it's not all about the offense. Do not sleep on either of these teams' defenses, Greg.
Yeah, both teams can play defense, and I think that's why they're here. Certainly Moeller is repeating from last year, potentially. And on the other side, Mentor, I think the reason they got past St. Ed's and Ignatius and they're here today is because they play some pretty solid defense as well.
Strap yourself in. We're ready for a great football game here from Fawcett Stadium. It's Mentor and Moeller. The kickoff coming up at the top of the hour at 3 o'clock. For now, we'll send it back to Dave and the guys in the studio.
All right, guys, thank you so much. Some great points there. I tell you, I'm really looking forward to this battle between the quarterbacks. And Ryan, they talked about Connor Krasancic. He's a stud as we set you up here for libero vision.
Yeah, he's got 2,800 yards passing, 30 TDs, but on the ground he's been so effective. Look at him getting into the end zone. Let's use libero vision and see how it's done. First, you're going to see Alex Matthews, the running back, and he's going to have to kick out and seal the outside linebacker, which opens the hole for Krasancic. Krasancic following the blocks, there's a kick out, and now there's 3 Eagle defenders around him with his eyes on the end zone. He avoids 2 and runs through 1. Connor Krasancic right there shows vision, speed, power, and the ability to get in the end zone.
The key word you said there is the power. A lot of people don't realize how strong that kid is. He finished that run by running through a very good defensive back.
Yeah, he really does have all of the tools that you need to have as a high school football quarterback to get it done. Obviously, Moeller has one as well. We're going to talk more about that and much more as the pregame show rolls on here from the Hyundai Studios in downtown Cleveland, Ohio. It's the big D1 matchup in Canton, Moeller and Mentor. When we come back, how about the journey for Moeller? And we'll hear from its head coach. That's next after this timeout. You're watching the Division I pregame show on Sports Time Ohio. We're getting set for the Division I state championship at Fawcett Stadium in Canton, Ohio. Moeller versus Mentor. Mentor trying to do it for the first time ever. Moeller has done it quite often, as we're about to find out. There's the Cardinal right there getting set to see if Mentor can win its first state championship game. The Cardinals have been close. They've come up empty 2 times, never winning a state title. But for Moeller, well, this is a program that's been there many times. And Ryan, we look at the road to championship. I mean, I almost feel like they deserve a state title already for these wins. Are you kidding me? St. X, Elder, Colerain. I mean, all of those great programs in the Cincinnati area. That's just a phenomenal area for football. And then to beat Hilliard-Davidson, which has just been awesome over the last few years.
They've ran through a gauntlet of the who's who in Southern Ohio in high school football. And of note, look at those last 2 wins. Cincinnati, Colerain, Hilliard-Davidson both run the triple option. Defensive coaches and game planning were put in overdrive this week as they switch gears from a run-based attack to what Mentor brings to the table.
Yeah, 13-11 in that one game against Hilliard-Davidson. But, Coach, you look at the championship history, 8 state titles. It's their 13th time in the final. Wow, 32nd time in the playoffs, second most in state history, and obviously they are the defending state champs.
Yeah, I'm going to date myself a little bit here and go with you that 1980 team. Or 1978 team, I'm sorry. I saw that team play a Padua team in the Final Four. They had 2 brothers, Hiawatha and DeJuan Francisco, who were 2 of the best high school running backs I've ever seen.
Good moment in the history books with Coach Powers right there. All right, we heard from Mike Cairns and Greg Fry. Andre Knott on the sideline. He's with Moeller's head coach. Andre?
Thanks, Dave. Coach, you're back here for the 2nd year in a row. Do you change anything in preparing for this game? I know you guys play on Saturdays a lot, so does that change anything in your routine?
No, we keep it exactly the same. Try to get here 4 hours before the game time so we can stay in our same routine.
Well, you look over at this Mentor team. What stands out about them, and what must you do to stop them?
Well, I think they're really well coached. I think to stop them, you definitely have to go through the quarterback. I think they throw the ball very well, but I also think they run the ball. And on defense, they're just very, very sound. They don't let you beat them deep. And, we're going to have to pick our shots, and we're going to have to be able to move the ball consistently on them.
After losing all the starters that you lost last year, was there a moment that turned this team that made you think that you could get back here this year?
Well, I think when we won the GCL and we beat Elder, and then we ended up losing at St. Ed's. We sort of got kicked in the face the first half, and we came back out and ended up scoring 42 points. I think that told me that these guys have a little resiliency to them, and then you just see week to week what happens.
Coach, we appreciate the time. Good luck today.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Back to you, Dave. Should be a doozy in the Division I state championship game here from Canton Fawcett Stadium.
Andre, thank you for that. And Coach talked about it, losing to St. Ed's there. And Mentor coach beat St. Ed's, so there's that one game that you could kind of look to as a comparison. What stands out as to what Coach just said there?
Well, 2 things. Number 1, I don't like to use common opponents when you're talking about 16, 17-year-old kids because anything could happen. The thing that stands out to me is they lost 13 all-league kids from last year's state championship team. Everybody thinks, hey, they're going to regroup this year. No. They retooled. Bam, here they are back in Week 15 where they expect to be.
I know growing up myself, and I was born in 1975, and my brother went to St. Ed's, and all he ever talked about was Moeller and how, quite frankly, he hated them. And here's why. Look, the appearances, 32. Only Newark Catholic has one more with 33. So, guys, that's impressive. This is a team that is usually there, right?
Yeah, and that's what those were a lot of times the old Jerry Faust year. If you remember Jerry Faust, when I was a coach at Notre Dame, he was probably the premier high school football coach in the country back when he was at Moeller.
Unbelievable football down in the Cincinnati area. Let's break down the game now. And Ryan, I move on to you, and we're talking about the offensive game plan, and we talked about the quarterback, but you have to look at the running back. This is a guy that was a workhorse last week.
Yeah, against Hilliard-Davidson, Jack Gruber really stepped up. Throughout the regular season, he only had 520 on the ground, and in the 4 postseason games, 284. Second half, it was all Jack Gruber. Now, Jack Gruber's a quick, shifty guy, and the more they run him, the more the running lanes for Gus Ragland, the quarterback, will open up. You guys, if you haven't seen Jack Gruber play, get ready. He could play tag in a phone booth, and he would never be it. That's how quick this kid is.
You just went there, huh? Nicely done. How about the wide receiver, Isaiah Gentry? Great numbers in the regular season, but I want to point out what he's done in the playoffs. 10 catches, 293 yards, and 2 touchdowns. To me, that means he's a game changer.
Oh, he's a big-time game changer because of his big playability. That's almost averaging 30 yards a catch. in the postseason. What Isaiah Gentry does, not only can he beat you deep, as we're looking at right here, but he takes short plays and turns them into long TDs. Watch what Gentry does here. He's a Kent State recruit, uses his hands, and you miss a tackle on Gentry, he makes you pay with 6 points.
Certainly does. Coach, we move now to the Mentor defensive game plan, and everyone thinks offense when you think Cardinals, but I think that's a mistake if you think it's only about offense. And you mentioned it earlier. We're talking about a defense here. 5 shutouts this year. Stellar in the playoffs besides the St. Ed's game.
Yeah, and a lot of turnovers. They cause a lot of turnovers. I think today that guy right there, Nico Lautner, defensive tackle. You run a 4-3 defense, you want to get pressure up the middle. When Ragland goes back to pass, you cannot let him be comfortable and step into his throws because he'll kill you. That's where Nico Lautner comes into play here by pushing that middle of the pocket back, and there's nowhere for him to step up.
How about the defensive back, Powell?
Well said. When you have 27 or 29 turnovers as a team, you better have good defensive backs. And cornerback, Kia Powell, he is one of the best cover guys out there. Right there, 14 passes defends, leads the team. You're going to need turnovers to win this game. And when Gus Ragland goes back to pass and he throws the ball in Kia Powell's area, that kid will go after the ball as good as anybody in the state.
Yeah, of course, you know, one of the backbones of that defense is Kent Berger on the defensive line. I mean, he is so instrumental as far as putting pressure on him, and another name to keep an eye on.
All right, that's 47 solo tackles, 8 sacks, 14 for loss. I mean, that's unbelievable, isn't it?
Playing in the offensive backfield is what that is. First team All-Ohio, and you get that with the numbers. But, you know, I will tell you this, matching it up here tonight, what Berger saw last week against St. Ed's and the size and the agility of the O-line, Moeller has it too. This is a huge offensive line in Cincinnati Moore.
Okay, when you talk about the Mentor program, I mean, it goes beyond football, guys. I mean, this is a program that's having a lot of success in a lot of different sports, soccer, basketball from last year. For more on that, here is Ashley Collins.
The Mentor boys basketball team became not only history makers last season, but champions as well. Their high-powered offense propelled them to a state title, and now the football team, who's averaging 40 points a game, has their sights set on the big prize, one that eluded them on 2 other trips to Championship Saturday.
Expectations were always high at Mentor, but when we won it, everything was kicked up a notch. And I said, I think the football team, the baseball team, every sport in Mentor understood how hard they had to work.
You know, anytime you're playing for a state championship, you know, you're going to give everything you got. And I think after we won that basketball championship, you know, I think that really set new standards.
You know, definitely after the basketball state championship, everyone expected us to do this in football. But I mean, it's still, you know, a tough game. We got to go out and play our hearts out. But, you know, it's definitely expected for us to, from all sports now, to be in the state championship.
Coach Krasancic led the Cardinals to their first ever state championship in basketball last season. This year, they're looking for a repeat, but practice has been a little thin as some of their star players are on the football field, trying to bring home a title of their own.
I mean, they were in the state semifinals in football last year, and they knew the day that ended what their goal was. You know, and it was great to see the basketball, but I know for the majority of these guys, they knew the day we got beat in November last year, what our mission was and what our job was.
Today's matchup with Moeller will be Mentor's first appearance in the state final since finishing runner-up in 2006 and 7.
The electricity at the community after we won basketball state championship was unreal, and you know, I'd like nothing better to get that back in here and take home another state championship.
This would just be an unbelievable, monumental accomplishment to, I think, go back-to-back, you know, basketball, football, and then hopefully get them back on the basketball court pretty soon.
It means a lot to everybody. This is a football community, and you know, I've had a number of the older gentlemen in the community say, Coach, before I die, we got to win one. So, you know, it's a little bit of pressure. So, you know, we got to try to finish it off for them. You know, we've been close, and we've battled for a while. Now it's time to try to knock the door down.
For the second consecutive season, a Mentor quarterback has earned Ohio Offensive Player of the Year honors as Connor Krasancic shares the award with Moeller QB Gus Ragland. And by the way, Dave, the Cardinals will field 5 players in today's game who contributed to their basketball state title, one of who is senior Brandon Fritz, who will be leaving school early to head to North Carolina and reunite with his former teammate and Mr. Football, Mitch Trubisky. Dave, back to you.
Yes, good points, Ashley. Excellent story there. That was a lot of fun to watch. And, Coach, you have some history with dealing with this type of thing.
Yeah, when we were back at Chudowsky back in 2001, we had kids who played 3 sports, football, basketball, or wrestling. And in that 3-year time period right there, we won the wrestling state championship, we won a basketball state championship, and a football state championship.
Wow.
And fortunately for me, I had both of those groups of wrestlers and basketball kids, and it's amazing how winning just breeds winning. And those kids want to win. They taste it in one sport, they want it in another. And that's what's going to pay off tonight for Mentor.
So if anyone's wondering about that ring right there, feels pretty good.
Yeah, it's not the only one as Chanel.
Mentor's road to the championship. How about this, guys? Outscored their opponents 152-41, and St. Ed's had 38 of those points. They had to beat St. Ignatius and St. Ed's to get here.
Yeah, and Ignatius, they lost to them in week 2, got redemption along the way, and St. Ed's, that's a team. I know Coach doesn't like to do it, but that's a team that beat Moeller.
Yeah, I know, you're right. I know, and I brought that up earlier. See, I think it does mean a little bit, but
it does.
You make a good point, though. I mean, it's high school kids.
Right.
Anything can happen. You don't know how they're feeling that day. I mean, agreed. There's a lot more that goes into it.
Right, but it is one of the best measuring sticks, but you got to throw in the variables. Like you said, say little Ryan failed his quiz that day, or little Ryan's girlfriend broke up that day, and he has a bad night, throws 4 interceptions.
Never happened.
Great point. Let's move on now to the Mentor offense, and Ashley touched on the North Carolina-bound Fritz career over 3,000 yards.
You know, he is a stud, and he's one of these guys, Chud, where he makes it look so effortless. Like right there, you know, he's moving full speed, but much like Josh Gordon of the Browns, it looks like he's jogging. That's what Brandon Fritz brings. He's a physical receiver. He goes up and gets the football over 1,000 yards and 13 touchdowns this year. And one thing about him throughout the playoffs, he is a big game player. Look for Brandon Fritz to be a standout here tonight.
And you know who else you have to look for is Eddie Doherty. This is a guy on Friday nights. I was calling his name like every Friday. I mean, the guy scores all the time. And this is another player you have to look for. There's just so many weapons.
He's the X factor. He's not the tallest guy in the field. He's not the biggest, but he will hurt you all over. He's got over 800 yards of total offense. He actually leads the team with 82 catches out of the backfield.
Incredible.
And running the football, he brings a different aspect. It takes some of the load off of Krasancic. He is to Mentor what Jack Gruber is to Moeller. Very similar teams on both sides.
I like that when you say X factor. I mean, right away that hits you and you know what you're looking for there with Eddie Doherty. So, Coach, I moved to you now, and we shift over to the Moeller defense. And, you know, one thing about this team, 18 starters replaced. And then you get back to the state championship game. Tough defense.
Yeah, and the big key for me is what's going to happen with Sam Hubbard. He's a 6'6" free safety. Normally, that's a great spot for your free safety, but when you play 5 wide receivers, you're not going to have a free safety. You're going to go man for, you're probably going to play cover 0 without a free safety. So my question is, are they going to put Hubbard on one of the inside receivers? Maybe since he's so big, put him outside on Fritz, who's that big? Or do they take a chance and go cover 1 and leave him as a free safety to roam center field and just follow in the quarterback's eyes?
One thing on Sam Hubbard, he's a 6'6" free safety. That jumps out at you, but as a sophomore, he was offered by Notre Dame on a lacrosse scholarship. So he's an athlete. He'll play wherever he wants.
Yeah, and the next guy you look at right there, Dakota Sizemore, he's an inside linebacker in a 4-4 defense. When you have a quarterback like Connor Krasancic who can run on the designed running plays or break contain from the pocket, he's going to have to keep an eye on him all night long and follow him to the bathroom and find out what kind of gum he's chewing.
Wow, we got phone booths, bathrooms, all kinds of stuff here on the pregame show. We're 10 minutes away from kickoff in Canton. Moeller and Mentor. Keys to victory coming up next on the pregame show. You're watching it right here on Sports Time Ohio. Dave Chudowsky, Ryan Cavanaugh, Bill Powers back with you as we take a look at this fact. How about the defending champs, guys? Look at that. SVSM, Clinton Massey, Coldwater have already done it. Moeller has a chance to do it. Marion Local has a chance to do it tonight. Think about that. 3 defending champs already, and you have another one in Division 1. We go back to 2012, guys, when Moeller beat a fantastic Whitmer team, right?
Yeah, there's Kelleher with an interception from one of the Holly brothers, Nick Holly, on that improbable drive, and you know, Moeller 20-12 winner in that game.
And you have right there the state champions, and Mooney and Moeller tied with Newark Catholic. So if Moeller wins today, guys, as Coach mentioned early in the show, only St. Ignatius would have more. And then really you're looking at, I mean, the top D1 programs, Ignatius, and Moeller and Mentor would like to get in there in the conversation and get its first state championship.
And coming your brother at St. Ed's, he probably hated Ignatius too, so he hates that graphic.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he's not a fan of that. That's a good point, yeah. All right, let's talk about the keys to victory here. And I think one thing that stands out to me, we've seen turnovers play a factor all weekend so far in these games, right? Another thing I think we've seen that's played a factor is fourth downs. This year, Moeller on fourth down, 14 of 17. That's incredible. Their opponents, 6 of 22. I think that could play a factor in this game. So, Coach, I toss it over to you. What can Moeller do today that other teams haven't been able to do to stop Mentor?
Well, the thing that stood out to me a lot in that St. Ed's game last week is it appeared to me that St. Ed's was trying to stop the run and the pass. So they were really caught flat-footed. A lot of times they were caught catching and they were unsure of what they wanted to do. If I'm Moeller, I'm going to make a commitment before this game starts. I will stop the run. Don't let Connor Krasancic or Eddie Doherty beat me on the ground. If Connor Krasancic and Fritz and them beat me through the air, so be it. You're still talking about high school kids, and if they complete 60% of their passes, that's a great day. But it's easier to score by running the ball than throwing it. So if I'm Moeller, commit to stopping one thing and make it the run.
Well, not many teams have stopped Mentor's air attack over the years.
Correct. So don't let them beat you with the run also.
Okay, so we move on now to Mentor, and hi there, Mr. Cardinal.
Yeah.
Hello there, Mr. Cavanaugh. What's the key for Mentor? Offense or defense?
Yeah, I'm going to say it's the Mentor defense, because they need to focus on the discipline of defense. They need to focus on the basics. And by basics, I mean tackling. Gus Ragland, the quarterback for Moeller, part of what makes him so dangerous is that he steps out of a lot of tackles. He's very elusive. And speaking of elusive, Jack Gruber is just flat out hard to touch. You got to stay in front of him, and you got to form him up. And then Isaiah Gentry, the wide receiver we featured, he does a great job of making short plays, long plays. Moeller offensively, just like Mentor, they're going to get theirs, but make them earn it.
And we're not going to have a big factor with snow coming down like we saw yesterday. It's going to be cold, but we're going to see both teams try to get it done today. Moeller going to try to win their 9th state championship. As we saw earlier, only St. Ignatius has more in Division I there with 11. And Mentor trying to win its first state championship ever. It's going to be great. We've moved it up to prime time. You can follow us, hashtag OHChamps on Twitter. You can follow us on Twitter as well. We'll be tweeting about the game. Mike Cairns and Greg Fry have the call. It's next on Sports Time Ohio. Cannot wait. Kickoff at 3 o'clock. Enjoy the game, everybody.